Hello, English learners. Welcome back to the Millie English podcast, your cozy place to learn easy English through real-life conversations. I'm Millie, and I'm really happy you're here with me today. Maybe you're walking, cooking, cleaning, commuting, or just lying somewhere scrolling through your phone. Wherever you are, I'm glad you clicked on this episode. This episode is around B1 level, so the English is simple, slow, and natural, something you can really use in real conversations. You don't need to understand every single word to learn something. Just grab the parts you understand, borrow the sentences you like, and let the rest pass by. No pressure, no stress. Real conversation first, vocabulary hidden inside, no boring lists while you're trying to enjoy your day. At the end, we'll do a calm little word tour. We'll pick some useful phrases from the episode, explain them, and help them stay in your mind. If you enjoy learning English like this, you can like this episode and subscribe to the Millie English podcast. It really helps more learners find us. And I'd love to hear from you. After you listen, write one sentence in the comments. Tell me, do you ever struggle with negative thoughts or overthinking? Okay, so today we're talking about something I think everyone struggles with but doesn't talk about enough. Our thoughts. Specifically, how our thoughts can run wild, how they can spiral out of control, how they can make us anxious, sad, or stuck. And most importantly, how to take back control. How to discipline your thinking so your mind works for you, not against you. I know discipline sounds like a harsh word, like you're being strict with yourself. But I promise it's not about being mean to yourself. It's about training your mind the same way you train your body, with patience, practice, and kindness. By the end of this episode, you'll have some real tools, not just theory. Actual steps you can use when your thoughts start going down a dark path. So take a deep breath with me, get comfortable, and let's talk about the most important skill nobody teaches us. How to manage what's happening inside our own heads. When my thoughts were out of control. Let me tell you about a time when my thoughts were completely out of control. This was about 2 years ago. I was going through a stressful period at work. Deadlines, difficult projects, too much to do. And instead of just dealing with the stress, my mind started creating stories. I'd lie in bed at night and my brain would whisper, what if you fail? What if everyone thinks you're incompetent? What if you lose your job? And those thoughts would spiral. One small worry would turn into 10 bigger worries. Before I knew it, I was imagining worst-case scenarios that hadn't even happened yet. I'd wake up exhausted, not from working, but from thinking. My mind was running marathons while I was trying to sleep. During the day, I couldn't focus. My thoughts would jump from one worry to another. It was like having 100 browser tabs open in my head. And the worst part? I believed every thought. If my brain said you're going to fail, I believed it. If my brain said everyone is judging you, I believed it. I didn't realize back then that just because you think something doesn't make it true. Thoughts are not facts. They're just mental noise. But I was treating every negative thought like a prophecy, like it was definitely going to happen. And that made my anxiety worse and worse. I remember one specific night. I couldn't sleep. My heart was racing. My mind was cycling through the same worries over and over. And I finally thought, this can't be normal. This can't be healthy. I need to do something about this. That's when I started learning about thought discipline, about how to notice my thoughts instead of drowning in them, about how to question them instead of believing them automatically. And slowly, things started to change. My mind became quieter. My anxiety decreased. I started sleeping better. Not because my life got easier, but because I learned how to manage my thoughts instead of letting them manage me. So let's talk about how thoughts actually work. Because once you understand the pattern, it's easier to break it. First, thoughts are automatic. Your brain produces thoughts constantly. Some estimates say we have around 60,000 thoughts per day. Most of them are repetitive. The same worries, the same fears, the same stories on loop. And you don't control when they appear. They just pop up. That's normal. That's how brains work. Second, thoughts are not facts. This is so important. Just because you think I'm not good enough doesn't mean it's true. It's just a thought, a sentence your brain generated, maybe based on past experiences, maybe based on fear, but it's not reality. Third, Negative thoughts are louder than positive ones. This is called negativity bias. Our brains evolved to focus on danger, on problems, on what could go wrong. That's why one criticism sticks with you for days, but 10 compliments slide off. Your brain is wired to pay more attention to the negative. And fourth, thoughts create feelings. The way you think directly affects how you feel. If you think everyone hates me, you'll feel sad and lonely. If you think I can handle this, you'll feel more confident. Your thoughts are like the background music of your life. They set the emotional tone. So here's the big question. If thoughts are automatic, and many of them are negative, and they affect how we feel, what can we do? The answer is thought discipline. Training your mind to notice unhelpful thoughts and choose different ones. Okay, so let me share the 3-step process that changed everything for me. This is simple, but it takes practice. Step 1. Notice the thought. The first step is just awareness. You can't change a thought if you don't notice it's there. So when you feel anxious, sad, or upset, pause. Ask yourself, what am I thinking right now? What story is my brain telling me? For me, I started catching thoughts like I'm going to mess this up or nobody likes me. Just naming them helped. I'd think, oh, there's that thought again. The I'm not good enough thought. It became less powerful once I could see it clearly. Step 2. Question the thought. Once you notice the thought, don't just accept it. Question it. Ask yourself, is this actually true? What's the evidence? For example, if your brain says everyone thinks you're stupid, ask, really? Everyone? Is there actual proof of this? Usually, the answer is no. It's just your brain exaggerating, or making assumptions, or predicting the future based on fear. I started asking, is this thought helpful? Is it making my life better or worse? And if it's not helpful, why am I holding on to it? Step 3, choose a different thought. This is the hardest part, but also the most powerful. You can't just delete a negative thought, but you can replace it with a more balanced one. You don't have to jump to super positive thinking. You don't have to go from I'm terrible to I'm amazing. Just choose something more realistic, something neutral. Instead of I'm going to fail, try I'm learning. I don't know what will happen yet. Instead of everyone hates me, try some people like me, some don't. That's normal. The goal is not to lie to yourself with fake positivity. The goal is to find a thought that's true and helpful. And then you practice. You catch the negative thought. You question it. You replace it. Over and over. At first, it feels weird. Your brain will resist. But over time, it gets easier. The neural pathways change. Your default thinking starts to shift. Let me share some specific tools I use every single day to keep my thinking disciplined. These are simple but powerful. The thought journal. Every evening, I spend 5 minutes writing down any negative or anxious thoughts I had during the day. Then I write a more balanced version next to each one. For example, thought, I embarrassed myself in that meeting. Balanced thought, I stumbled over my words, but I still contributed. This helps me process thoughts instead of just replaying them in my head. The 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique. When my thoughts are spiraling and I feel overwhelmed, I use this. I name 5 things I can see, 4 things I can touch, 3 things I can hear, 2 things I can smell, 1 thing I can taste. This pulls me out of my head and back into the present moment. Anxiety lives in the future. Grounding brings me back to now. The morning intention. Every morning before I check my phone, I set one mental intention for the day. Today I choose calm. Or today I'll be kind to myself. Just one sentence. It gives my mind a direction instead of letting it wander into worry. The thought label. When a negative thought appears, I label it. Oh, that's anxiety talking. Or that's my inner critic. Or that's just fear. Labeling creates distance. It reminds me that I am not my thoughts. I'm the person observing them. The gratitude pause. Throughout the day, whenever I notice myself spiraling into negativity, I pause and think of 3 things I'm grateful for right now. My coffee is warm, the sun is shining, I have a roof over my head. Small things. This interrupts the negative pattern. These tools don't make negative thoughts disappear, but they give me control. They help me respond instead of react. Let me tell you what actually changed in my life after I started practicing thought discipline for a few months. First, my anxiety decreased dramatically. I still get anxious sometimes, but it doesn't take over anymore. I can catch the anxious thoughts early. I can question them. I can choose calmer thoughts. The anxiety passes quicker. Second, my relationships improved. When my thoughts were out of control, I'd assume people were mad at me or judging me. Now I can separate my thoughts from reality. I don't create drama in my head. I communicate more clearly. Third, my confidence grew. Because I stopped believing every negative thought my brain produced. I started seeing myself more accurately. Not perfect, but not terrible either. Just human. Learning and growing. Fourth, my sleep got so much better. I used to lie awake for hours with racing thoughts. Now I use grounding techniques before bed. I write in my thought journal. My mind is calmer at night. And fifth, I have more mental energy. When your thoughts are chaotic, they drain you. When your thoughts are disciplined, you have energy for things that actually matter. I'm not saying my life is perfect now. I still have bad days. I still have negative thoughts. But I have tools. I have skills. I know how to work with my mind instead of being a victim of it. And that makes all the difference. Let me talk about some mistakes I made when I first started trying to discipline my thinking, so you can avoid them. Mistake 1, trying to stop all negative thoughts. You can't. Negative thoughts are normal. The goal is not to eliminate them. The goal is to not believe them automatically. Mistake 2, being mean to yourself for having negative thoughts. Don't beat yourself up for thinking negatively. That just creates more negativity. Instead, be kind. Say, "Oh, I'm having that thought again. That's okay. What do I want to think instead?" Mistake 3, expecting instant results. Thought discipline is like building a muscle. It takes time. Be patient with yourself. You won't master it in a week, but every time you practice, you get a little stronger. Mistake 4, trying to force positive thinking. You don't have to pretend everything is great when it's not. Realistic thinking is better than fake positive thinking. Acknowledge the difficulty, but don't catastrophize. And mistake 5, doing it alone. Talk to someone. A friend, a therapist, someone you trust. Sometimes our thoughts are so tangled we need an outside perspective to help us see clearly. All right, it's time to slow everything down. We've covered a lot today, and I want some of these phrases to really stay in your English. So let's do a calm word tour together. No stress, just listen. Spiral. Spiral means to get worse and worse quickly, out of control. For example, my thoughts started to spiral when I worried about work. Or the situation spiraled into chaos. Out of control. Out of control means you can't manage or stop something. For example, my anxiety felt completely out of control. Or the party got out of control. Overthinking. Overthinking means thinking too much about something, usually in a negative way. For example, I'm guilty of overthinking every conversation. Or stop overthinking and just decide. And run wild. Run wild means to go freely without control. For example, I let my imagination run wild with worst-case scenarios. Or the kids ran wild in the playground. Prophecy. Prophecy means a prediction about the future. For example, I treated every negative thought like a prophecy. Or her prophecy came true. Mental noise. Mental noise means unwanted or distracting thoughts in your mind. For example, meditation helps me reduce mental noise. Or, my head is full of mental noise today. On loop. On loop means repeating over and over. For example, the same worries played on loop in my head. Or, I've had this song on loop all day. Negativity bias. Negativity bias means the brain's tendency to focus more on negative things. For example, negativity bias makes us remember criticism more than compliments. Or, I'm trying to overcome my negativity bias. Catch a thought. Catch a thought means to notice and identify a thought. For example, I'm learning to catch negative thoughts before they spiral. Or, catch that thought and question it. Inner critic. Inner critic means the negative voice in your head that criticizes you. For example, my inner critic tells me I'm not good enough. Or, I'm working on quieting my inner critic. Grounding. Grounding means techniques that help you focus on the present moment. For example, grounding techniques help me when I feel anxious. Or, try grounding yourself by noticing what's around you. Catastrophize. Catastrophize means to imagine the worst possible outcome. For example, I tend to catastrophize small problems. Or, don't catastrophize. It's probably not that bad. There you go. 12 useful phrases from today's episode. You don't need to memorize all of them right now. Even if 2 or 3 stay with you, that's already amazing. So before we say goodbye, I want to leave you with one important reminder. You are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are just mental events. They come and go. Some are helpful, some are not. You have the power to notice them, question them, and choose different ones. That's thought discipline. It's not about being perfect. It's not about never having negative thoughts. It's about not letting those thoughts control your life. So here's your tiny homework. Today, just once, catch a negative thought. Notice it. Don't judge yourself for having it. Just observe it like you're watching a cloud pass by. Then write one sentence in the comments. Tell me, what's one negative thought you often have? Just naming it takes away some of its power. If this episode helped you understand your mind a little better, please like this video and subscribe to the Millie English podcast. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for being brave enough to look at your thoughts honestly. Your mind is powerful, and when you learn to discipline your thinking, you unlock a calmer, happier life. I'm Millie, and you've been listening to the Millie English podcast. Bye.